Okay, so in this video, we're going to look at adding the rest of the changes to the HUD so that we have correct rupee amounts using the font that was in the original game. And then we will also be looking to add the sword here. And so when we get the sword, it shows up up here in the A button. Okay, and so this will be a pretty quick video, around 20 or so minutes. And we're going to finish out the HUD. It's going to look great. And so let's get straight to it. So here, what we want to do is we just filled out the hearts. And so at this point, what we want to do is we want to fill out the rupee values, okay? And so before we fill out the rupee values, we need to cover up the area that used to be here. There's like a pink, blue area that kind of is a placeholder for where you would put the graphics. Okay, and so we want to cover those up, and we're just going to do that with a black. In fact, we've already had this fill style up near the top. Oops. I'm just going to copy that. Okay, and paste it here. And we want to draw over at 96, 10, and the area is going to be 24 wide and 50 tall. Okay, and so what we want to do here is there's going to be two different things for rupees. If it is below 100, you see this little X and then the two zeros. And then if it goes above 100, this X goes away and you see just the full number up to 255 or 256. It's probably 255. And so we're just going to remove that limitation. We're going to have three numbers here, but we can go up to 999. Okay, so Nintendo is doing that to save memory. A cartridge was pretty, small as far as memory contained. So, they're saving every little bit they could. And so we don't have that limitation. So we're just going to remove the 255 limitation and make it 999, which might be useful later on when we go to expand the game. So let's just go ahead and draw rupee values that are less than 100. So if it's less than 100, we want to draw that little X to begin with. So we have ctx.draw image, and we're going to be drawing from the HUD sprite sheet, and it is located, that X is located at 117. It is 8 by 8, and we want to draw it at 96, 16, 8 by 8. Okay, and so what we want to do is get the first. We want to drag out the individual numbers of, like, say 96. And so one good way of doing that is just using the modulus. So we're just going to say let first num equal rupee amount mod 10. So this is the remainder that you would get after dividing by 10. And so that's going to give us the ones place. And so we can go ahead and draw that out. We're going to do a ctx.draw image. And we're going to draw from the HUD because we want to draw the what is there, the font that is there. And so we're going to start at 528, and then we're going to add 8 times the first num. Okay. And the order of operations should hold up here, but I'm just going to put that there. And then we want to add the first num. Okay. And we'll talk about that math in just a second. Drawing from 117, it has dimensions of 8 and 8. This is 96 plus 16, 16 and 8 and 8 for the width and height. Okay, so let's just talk about what those numbers do real quick. Okay, so this is where we're starting on the sprite sheet. Okay, so if we open up the sprite sheet, let's just say that we are dealing with the number 3. Okay, so we have 8 times 3 plus 3. So 528 plus 8 times 3, which is 24, plus 3, which is 27, gives us 555 for the X. So let's go ahead and open up that sprite sheet, which is HUD, pause screen. And I'm going to open it with GIMP. And we're just going to see where that 555 is. Remember, our number was 3. Okay, and so this is where we want to start at the 0, and that is the 527 value, or thereabouts, 528. And we are adding, we are going to 555, which is the start of the 3 value. Okay, so this is the graphic we're pulling with those numbers, with that math. All right, and so that does that. And so what we want to do now is basically very similar. So I'm just going to copy this. And we're going to get the math.floor of the rupee amount divided by 10. Now, what does this do? All right, so let's say that we have, 35. And if we take 35 and divide by 10, we're going to get 3.5. And if we take the math.floor, which is rounding down to the nearest whole number, we get 3. And so the first number in 35 would be 3. And so we're just going to draw that number here. And so we're going to say second num. And we don't want to draw it at 16. We want to draw it at 8. We're going over to the 10s digits. And so that does it for that. Let's go ahead. We can go ahead and test that real quick. And so here we're already starting to show that up. And so let's go ahead and go to console and change our rupee amount. And we'll say equal to 99. And that works. But let's set it equal to 100. Still doesn't work. Okay, so we need to implement that now, and that's just going to be our else statement, right? And so our else statement is going to be very similar to what we have here. And so I'm going to just take these 2 lines for sure. That's going to be the same. And so the second num is actually the same as well, although the calculation changes. The first time we run second num, it is actually exactly like what we have in the first section. But we want to get third num. And third num is math.floor, and we're going to say rupee amount. And we're going to divide by 100, and we're going to times by 100. So basically what we're doing here is we're getting the hundreds, how many hundreds there are. So if it's 353, we are getting 3 by doing this, and then we're multiplying by 100 to get that 300. So to get this second num, it is actually just this number minus this number. All right, and so we're going to go ahead and redefine second. Actually, we could just go ahead and pull this. And say second num is equal to rupee amount. And we don't need to do a math.floor here. It's going to be rupee amount minus third num. And then here we're going to say minus first num. And then here we're going to say divided by 10. Okay. And that's going to give us our second num. So 353 we take rupee amount, which is 353, subtract third num, which was 300, so we get 53, minus the first num, which would be 3, and we get 50. We divide that by 10 and we get 5. Okay, so now we're in a good place to draw our second num. So I'm just going to take this down here, and this is going to be the plus 8, and I'm going to copy this. Okay, looks great. And then third num, we want to actually get the third num, and so third num is not the first one that we calculated. It is just the math.floor divided by 100. And here we're just going to draw the third num using the straw image. And we can take away this plus 8 right here, and then paste in third num here. Okay, and so that pretty much does it for the rupee amounts. So let's go ahead and check our rupee amounts. So rupee amount is equal to 255. Perfect. Rupee amount is equal to 999. Excellent. Now, rupee amount is equal to 1,000. So we have some issues, but when we get rupees, when we start collecting rupees, we want to see if it goes over 999, we're gonna set it back to 999. Okay, so we're gonna have like a fail safe in there, just an if statement that, you know, if it goes over, we'll set it back. Okay, so down to the key and the bomb. So here we want to go ahead and draw the images for the X's, right? And so that is going to be just this statement again. So I'm just going to copy this a couple times and just change some numbers here. Okay, so for the first one, it is going to be at, so here this is going to be 32, and this is going to be 41. Okay, and this is going to be, so that's it. All right, and so now what we want is the bomb and key amount. So I'm just going to copy this. Actually, we'll copy this one since it's okay. And then instead of second num here, this is going to be key amount. This is going to be bomb amount. And that's pretty much going to be it. So let's go ahead and test that. So right now, let's see here. Am I actually 96 plus 8, draw image. Do I have any key amounts? Key amount is equal to 1. Bomb amount is equal to 5. Okay. So 528 plus 8 times key amount plus key amount. So this is saying 50 up here. Oh, I didn't actually change the, so this number right here needs to be changed. And so right now I have it at 16. This one should be 32, and this one should be 41. Okay, so that should make a whole lot more sense. Okay, perfect. And just to make sure, we'll go to inspect, go to console, go to bomb amount, and we'll set equal to 9. And it works. Okay, perfect. Now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and draw the sword in. So we're just going to fill in these placeholders right here with our black that we've been using. Okay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And the fill style should already be black, so we don't even have to And so here it's going to be at 128 and 24 and 8 and 16. Okay. And if you wanted to, we could go to the spreadsheet and see exactly where we got these numbers, but you know, it's not really that necessary. It would just slow the video down a whole lot. Because we have already done that before. Gone to the spreadsheet, seen where we're getting these numbers and stuff like that. Okay, so that should black them out, and it does. So that looks great. And so what we want to do now is we want to just say if sword is equipped. If sword equipped is equal to 1, we're going to draw the wood sword. Okay, and so we're going to ctx dot draw image, and we're going to be drawing from the HUD. That's where all the pickup items are, starting at 155, 137. That sword is 8 by 16 in its dimensions, and we want to draw it at 152.24, and it is still 8 by 16. Okay, and we can test this with the map, small change. And so what we're going to do now is just fill in the map. So this is map fill gray, and we're going to do our ctx.fill style. And set it equal to gray, and we're just going to do a fill rect. Okay, copy this, and this is going to be at 16, 8, 64 on the dimension of the map, and 48. And so let's go ahead and test that out. Okay, so it looks like we have everything. The one thing we need to test out is this sword. So let's go ahead and look at that. And it pops up. So it does exactly what we want it to do. Now, the next few videos are going to be pretty exciting. So we're going to start adding enemies to the screen. We're going to do collision detection with our sword. So we're going to have to start animating Link to actually you know, use his sword, do collision, and then go from there. Have enemies drop items into the world, and so it's going to be lots of you know, integral parts of the game that are really going to start to pull it together and make it feel complete, even though we have not even left the first area. Okay, so I hope you're looking forward to that, and I am as well. I'm going to be recording that video in just a second, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.